Let me read to you a passage from the 7th chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 1 to 2 and verse 10 and verses 25 to 30. It's the Gospel for Friday of the 4th week of Lent. St. John writes, Jesus moved round in Galilee. He did not wish to travel in Judea because the Jews were trying to kill him. The Jewish feast of tabernacles was near. When his brothers had gone up to the feast, he himself also went up, but not openly, but as it were in secret. Some of the inhabitants of Jerusalem said, "Is he not the one they are trying to kill? And look, he is speaking openly and they have nothing to say to him." Could the authorities have realized that he is the Christ? But we know where he is from. When the Christ comes, no one will know where he is from. So Jesus cried out in the temple area as he was teaching and said, "You know me, and you also know where I am from. Yet I did not come on my own, but the one who sent me, whom you do not know, is true. I know him because I am from him, and he sent me." So they tried to arrest him, but no one laid a hand upon him because his hour had not yet come. That's from John chapter 7 verses 1 to 2, verse 10 and verses 25 to 30. What does it suggest to us? Well, it tells us about Jesus, man and God. You know, one thing about our Lord is plain in the passage that I've just read. His person and background is well known. He is one of the people. He is a brother Hebrew to them. There is mention of his brothers who went up to the feast before him. They were, of course, his kinsmen, presumably from Nazareth and its environs. There is a tradition that the parents of Mary had resided in the nearby cosmopolitan city of Zephyrus. So, some of our Lord's relatives may even have lived there. Whatever of that, the point is that our Lord was deeply rooted in certain places and in a family network. He was very well known. That was up in Galilee, in the locality of Nazareth. Let us observe the specimen of the talk about him in Jerusalem provided by the passage that I just read. Our Lord went up to the feast quietly, and then was discovered to be teaching in the temple. We read that, and I quote, "Some of the inhabitants of Jerusalem said, 'Is he not the one they have been trying to kill? And look, he is speaking openly and they have nothing to say to him.' Could the authorities have realized that he is the Christ? But we know where he is from. When the Christ comes, no one will know where he is from." The drift of it is that Jesus was one of the people, and that this was a problem. He was but an ordinary Hebrew, an artisan from Galilee. All knew who Jesus of Nazareth was and where he was from. He lacked the mystery that would be associated with the Messiah. In his origin and person, the Messiah would be far, far larger than life, a figure the like of which would never have been seen. All of this was perfectly true in its way, of course, and did reflect the general impression projected by the Scriptures. But other predictions were missed that located the Messiah as coming from the people. What these reactions and remarks illustrate was the truth that Jesus Christ was truly and absolutely a man like us. In all his human characteristics, there was an individuality with the limitations with which this necessarily involved. He was of a certain height, with certain features, a certain timbre of voice, a certain manner of walking, of speaking, and of smiling. The Messiah was very much a man of a certain lineage, a certain time and culture. And all this our Lord openly and readily acknowledges. As we heard, Jesus cried out in the temple area as he was teaching and said, "You know me and you know where I am from." That is to say, I am a man just as are others, and you know me as such. But then he alludes to the tremendous mystery that is his nevertheless. "Yet I did not come on my own, but the one who sent me, from whom you do not know, is true. I know him because I am from him, and he sent me." Our Lord speaks in a way that transcends the language of the prophets, though he is in the line of them. He repeatedly insists that he came from God. The prophets spoke of having been called by God for a special mission, and of having received his word, which they then proclaimed to the people, despite much opposition. And not uncommonly, they would refer to their place of origin and their occupation prior to their calling as a prophet. But Jesus Christ speaks of himself as coming not simply from Nazareth, but directly from God. He states time and again that while many of his hearers did not know God, he knew him. Our Lord separates himself from the rest in his incomparable knowledge of God, a knowledge that he has directly because he came directly from him. I know him because I am from him, and he sent me. Our Lord is claiming a unique relationship with God, a uniquely authoritative mission, and a unique knowledge. This singular authority was what the religious leaders could not bear, and we read that after our Lord stated this, they tried to arrest him, but no one laid a hand on him because his hour had not yet come. It all constitutes yet another allusion, so frequent especially in the Gospel of St. John, to his divinity. This is the wondrous thing about Jesus Christ, and it is what makes the Christian religion so striking, provided it is truly understood. This man, truly man, one whom they knew so well as almost to disqualify Jesus Christ from being the Messiah in their mind, is the living God. We simply must not get used to this proposition. There is nothing like it on earth. Let us, in our mind's eye, in spirit as it were, place ourselves among the hearers and gaze at Jesus Christ as he speaks. Observe his features, so noble, so filled with spiritual majesty, so expressive of divine love and strength. He is every bit a man as any man, indeed far more so because there is no sin in him to sully his humanity. He is in this sense perfectly man, perfectly human. But in the first instance he is divine. He is a divine person who has come from the Father as one sent by him. This same Jesus Christ is with us continually in his church, in the word and sacraments of the church. Let us live in him then and never be separated from him.